coming back, getting into their car, leaving or going home, or you have people that have come in and then they're patronizing a business, or they're going to the Beltline. You see them see people meet with other people and then walk with direction, or catch an Uber and leave. You see Ubers coming and going. You see, Grubhub, things of that nature. Uber Eats come by, do their stops. You see a lot of coming and going traffic. What stood out to me regarding the three individuals was they did not seem to have an intended destination in their travels. So they didn't enter into the area and go to a restaurant or to a business in the area. They traveled around this footprint looking for something. We saw them, get in the car, which we knew wasn't operated by them. So we believed, it was on our radar, that they were looking for things in the vehicle, or looking for cars to break into, as I saw in the video. So because that drew my attention to these people that weren't leaving the area, they kept going around in the area looking at different things. And then they get to the apartment complex door, and I actually see them, one of the individuals try to pull the door open.
And is that what we have, that vantage point here in State Exhibit 132?
Yes.
And the timestamp that we're at now, could you read that out for me? And that time, it might be obscured in your view.
I think I can make it out. February 25th, 2022 at 10:05 p.m.
Started State Exhibit 132 at that time. Sergeant, stopping here at timestamp 10 hours, 5 minutes and 35 seconds, 0.526 milliseconds. If you could, do you see that group that you're tracking on the video here?
Yes.
And if you could use that touchscreen feature again using a red pen and circle them for us. Thank you. And I'm going to resume to the video at that same timestamp.
And something that we noted with regards to the door in particular was that keypad that's next to the door. That's if you are not a resident and you want to go in and meet somebody or go up to their apartment. You have to call somebody to let you in. The residents also have a key card that they touch up and can enter the property. The individuals pulled on the door, but they didn't have a key card and go in. They didn't go up to the call box to try to call somebody to say, hey, we're coming to visit you. They simply just tried to force the door open.
Now, stopping States 132 at 10 hours, 6 minutes, and 14 seconds, 0.588 milliseconds p.m. We see those individuals leave off of frame. Are you able to track then where they head to from there?
Yes, so there's another camera on the other side of the building that's on, as the curve comes around on Bernina, there's another camera that looks at that side right there and the Beltline entrance.
And were you able to obtain footage from that camera?
I was.
And did you preserve and add that camera footage as part of your case file?
Yes.
Have a chance to view it before today?
Yes.
True and accurate?
Yes.
At this time, Your Honor, the state would tender the footage from the park. Just a second. See this So I'm going to have you, do that same thing using that touch screen and kind of orient us as to where we are now.
Okay. Okay, so this right off here is your Beltline path, and it comes and meets the street right here. It also goes this way towards the bridge and the skate park, and then has an access path that goes to the other side, which is also where Beach Circle is. This is Bernina, and it comes off of North Highland and curves around the apartment building. And then alongside of this building, this is the back side of Elizabeth. So this would be Elizabeth meeting up right here.
So if we are following that group, just if you could show us again, what direction would they be heading from as we do come onto the screen?
They're heading this direction.
Thank you. Starting the video, I'm sorry, at timestamp 10 hours, 7 minutes, and 5 seconds. Pausing the video at timestamp 10 hours, 7 minutes, and 17 seconds. Sergeant, is this the same group of individuals we saw coming that same route you explained?
Yes.
Okay. And do we see some of that distinctive, clothing that you made note of?
Yes. So there's a street light right over here that's just off of camera view, but it illuminates the area quite a bit, and we were able to see distinctive items about their clothing, like the symbol that was on the back of the jacket of one individual, the red shorts, and the greenish colored pants.
And I'm going to resume the video at that same timestamp. And stopping at timestamp 10 hours, 8 minutes, and 10 seconds, 1223 milliseconds p.m. Are we able to see, Sergeant, what direction this group is headed towards?
Yes, so they came off of Bernina, and right here is the entrance to the Beltline. They turned onto the entrance to the Beltline and start heading towards the big bridge, the big overpass bridge. That if you keep going in that direction, you'll end up at the skate park on the other side.
Okay, and I'm just following your hand motions. That's headed kind of towards the left, veering towards
Yes,
the left?
yes, to the left.
If I would have veered towards the right, what would I be headed?
If you veer towards the right, you'd be heading towards Beach Circle.
Okay. Now, do we capture, you noted that heading in that left direction, you would be heading towards the Beltline, towards the skate park. Were you able to capture the same group on the Beltline towards the skate park?
Yes.
And that's the footage previously tendered in State's Exhibit 131 that you were able to preserve pretty early on with the Vic camera unit.
Yes.
One moment, you will see that footage. And typically, Sergeant, are there multiple angles that are contained within the same camera footage that's pulled from the big camera?
Yes, so depending on which camera it is and what location, there's either going to be anywhere from 2 to 5 cameras on a particular pole. And it just depends on placement and need. So on this particular pole, there was 5 cameras. One of which was not operational. There was some damage to the lens, but the other 4 camera angles we were able to look at. And it shows you a perspective so that it almost gives you a 360 degree view of the area around it. So that encompasses, you know, what majority of you could see if you were just walking by.
So just kind of walking through some of those items here, what's the location tied to this big camera and the big camera number?
South of Freedom Parkway, northeast near 4th Ward Skate Park.
And which camera is it?
I'm sorry.
There's a designation camera and then a number.
Oh, this particular view is camera 1.
And is this one of the ones you noted that had an obstructed view at the time?
Yeah, there was damage to the camera.
Okay. Here, we see similar location at the top and a different camera number. Is that kind of how you were explaining with the multiple cameras on the same pole?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's the same location. There's just cameras all the way around.
And what are we looking at here in this area?
So you're looking at a different view angle, and this is the Beltline path that comes from the area of Elizabeth and Bernina, and it's heading towards, this is the overpass right here, and it's heading towards, on the other side, there is a skate park.
So if individuals would have traveled, as we saw that particular group going towards the left, heading onto the Beltline, would they pass this particular portion?
Yes, if they were heading in the direction of the main Beltline path towards the skate park, they would have passed this camera.
Beginning at timestamp 10 hours, 13 minutes, 26 seconds, 8:37 milliseconds p.m. Go back 10 hours, 13 minutes, and 16 seconds, 970 milliseconds PM. Now I'm just pausing at 10 hours, 13 minutes, 38 seconds, 0.710 milliseconds PM. Sergeant, are you able to see that same group here?
Yes.
Okay, if you could please, using that touchscreen feature, just circle that group for me. Just a bit of a lag. And are we seeing the same clothing that you made note of from previous videos?
Yes.
Okay. Clear the markings and continue at that same time stamp. Now, Sergeant, just to orient ourselves, what direction are they headed in? What would be down that way?
So over in this corner right here, that's the skate park. Earlier you saw a skateboarder ride down towards the obstacles that are in the park.
And are you able, I know it's a little difficult to see from this angle, but during your investigation, were you able to determine what was going on now with the group?
So watching the group and the different things that they're doing, it would appear that they decided to stop and pose for pictures in front of the graffiti on the wall.
And are you able to tell which of the individuals we see in the picture, who we see taking the picture?
So the individual with the jean jacket with the big design on the back was the one taking the pictures. The red shorts and the green pants are posing right now. Now, Sergeant, we appear to see that same group walk a little bit further down, and some individuals walk off closer in that skate park area. Were you able to keep track of this group? Yes, so the same way that they travel through the footprint, they stay together, and you can see when they walk up, they stop, and then everybody else is continuing past and moving past in one way or direction or another. And then after standing there for a little bit of time, they start heading back the same direction they came. Now it's at this point in the video that there's a female that is walking past the group. They engage in, or try to engage in conversation with her, and she, you know, dismisses them. She picks up her pace to try to move away from the group, and then they seem to match their pace and are following behind her.
What time stamp are we paused at here?
I can't see it.
About it should change the view a little bit. Did that help? Or?
No, there's a bar across the bottom.
Which one?
And then when you just expanded it, I can't see it at all.
Let's all put it down.
Got it. Let me try to adjust that.
Still not visible on your.
No, I can see it now. Whatever you did took the bar off. It's 10:17 p.m.
Now, we see the three individuals where we pause it now heading in a particular direction. What direction would they be headed in if you're on the Beltline under the bridge at this point?
So if you're on the Beltline under the bridge, they're heading back the same way they came, which would be the entry point area at Elizabeth and Bernina.
Now, is it possible that someone could veer off and head from this direction over towards to continue on the Beltline?
Yes, so there is access paths. So one of the access paths to take you a little farther in one direction. So if you wanted to not go to the skate park, there's an access path that would take you to a different connect to, again, a different access points for people's neighborhoods and things like that. So if you don't get off the Beltline right there and you're going back to Elizabeth Street, you can make that left coming off the Beltline and head up on one of the access paths that goes by Beach Circle.
And is that opposite path that continues on to the Beltline, is that captured by any VIC camera footage?
I'm sorry, which path?
Sorry, if you're taking the path that continues on to the Beltline heading back behind Bernina, that portion of the Beltline, instead of taking the access path or getting off of the Beltline,
Yes.
is that captured on VIC camera?
Some of it, not all of it.
Going to camera angle 4 of the same State's Exhibit 133. Now, what are we looking at here? Where would we be here?
Okay. You want me to do the thing?
Yes. Try to get some of these boxes out of your way. Sorry.
Okay, so this right here is the apartment building from the earlier footage. So this would be Bernina right here. And then Elizabeth would be about right here. And this is if you're heading away from the bridge, with the Beltline bridge. This direction is continuing along the main Beltline. And then this is an access road or access path to get to the main direction of the Beltline.
So, if we are walking the trajectory where we see that camera footage in our last view on camera 2, coming from under the bridge, towards the left would be headed towards Beach Circle, is that correct?
That's correct.
And towards the right would be headed towards this area.
Yes, it'd be a different section of the Beltline path, yeah.
I'm gonna see here if it comes up. Are you able to see the timestamp associated with where we are here? Same box.
Same box.
One moment. Are you able to see it at this point? Same box.
It's the same box. It looks like it says 10:17 p.m., but I can't make out the last digits.
Understood.
Oh, I can see it at the bottom now. Yep, 10:17 p.m.
Okay. And I'm gonna start at that timestamp, 10:17 p.m.
So we're still on direct with the detective. Yeah. Okay.
2 times our normal
I think
speed,
they
just
can-
to speed it up.
I've written the script for the poem.
I'm now going to go 4 times our normal speed, continuing on. I'm going to go to 6 times our normal speed. So let me ask this sergeant, in us watching this camera, the alternate path on State's Exhibit 131, do we see that same group travel through this area?
No.
And did you watch additional footage than what we're even seeing here?
Yes, I watched it for good hour plus.
At any point, do we see that group of the 3 individuals travel down this path?
No, they never go down that section of the Beltline.
So now, if I don't head to the left or the right, you mentioned earlier that you could also return to that Elizabeth Street and Bernina Avenue intersection.
That's correct.
Okay. Is that the same intersection that we saw captured on that Wise camera footage?
Yes.
In State's Exhibit 9? And let me ask with that camera footage, I know you said earlier there was minute by minute of a multitude of days. Did it capture the time frame of 10:17 to 10:40?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
And did you watch that camera footage, that same camera angle beginning at 10:17 and continuing on?
No, I started watching it long before. I viewed all the cameras that we had in that area for quite some time before before when we figured out when the incident occurred, and some time afterwards. Just again to get an idea of the people and their traffic through there. Are they passing through? Are they going somewhere? Or is anybody just hanging out in the area?
In that case, I'm going to point your attention directly to that same evening, February 25th, 2022, timestamp 22:18. And what time would that be in our regular time?
10:18 p.m.
And just pausing at timestamp 22:18:23, do we see anyone of note on the screen?
Yes. This is the female in all black that was coming through the bridge from the area of the skate park and came to the other side and exited the Beltline. The same female that was engaged and then followed by the three males.
Resuming at that same timestamp. Ending at timestamp 22:19:02. Sergeant Parent, did we see that group of individuals, those three males, anywhere?
No, they did not. They didn't exit the Beltline area. If they had, they would have either gone back behind the apartment complex and on Bernina, or they would have come out here on Elizabeth and Bernina.
And again, you watched much more than we're watching or displaying here.
Days worth of viewing, yes. Days worth of viewing.
And did they reappear on either one of those camera angles after that 10:17 p.m.?
No.
Now I want to point out or return to earlier where we viewed this same camera angle, States Exhibit 9, and we saw the victim, Mr. Arnold, walking down towards that entrance of the Beltline. That was roughly at 10:20 p.m., is that correct?
That's about right, yes.
Now, after we see Mr. Arnold, as we saw earlier, travel past this wise camera footage at the corner of Bernina and Elizabeth Street, do we see him reappear on any of the big cameras?
No.
Posted?
No, we do not.
Okay. That's checking the alternative route of the Beltline that goes back behind Bernina?
Yeah, he did not, he had to go to the right because if he had gone on the left, it would have been that last view where we saw where the path continues down, it's brightly lit, or we would have seen him go down under the bridge. So the only alternative, when we see him enter the Beltline path, is that he has to make that right onto the access trail.
towards the beach circle location. Do you see anything else of note in that same under the bridge angle?
Yeah, so in earlier video we had the audio clip of a gunshot that you can clearly hear. At around that same time frame on the Beltline Vic camera, you can see a couple walking, coming from the direction of the skate park, approaching the camera, which would be heading towards Bernine and Elizabeth, or continuing on that path. And you see them turn their heads real suddenly. So if I'm them and I'm walking towards, Bernine Elizabeth, or going to that path, as soon as they come out the bridge, you see them turn their heads both very quickly, like they're reacting to something. I believed that it was them reacting to the sound of the gunshot.
And again, that's because it coincided with that time frame created by the independent footage.
Correct.
Now, with that note, I'm going to fast forward 10:27. And just pausing here at 10:27:07, 9:57 milliseconds p.m. Do you see that couple that you're referring to?
Yes. It's these two right here.
Those markings in the video. Do so at the halftime speed. I'm sorry, it's at the, we'll play it at regular speed up until timestamp. Ten 27 21 9:57, and we'll go to the 8. Anything about here, sorry.
At that point, you can see them turn their heads. That there obviously was something that got their attention. With the time frame, it coincides with the warehouse audible clip.
Now, at this point, we're at March, into March from the 26th of February where your investigation began. At this point, what did you do with your investigation and the information you had?
So, based on the timeline that we established with the path of Mr. Arnold, and then marrying it with the footage for the couple turning their head to the time with the gunshot that's audibly heard, it coincides with about the time that Mr. Arnold would have been in that location at that time. And we now have people that are lingering in the area, 3 subjects that are lingering in the area. We also have the car where the owner of the vehicle was not present at the time. These 3 individuals were in the vehicle, and we have these 2 people that turned their head and noticing the shot. So we had a press conference, little news briefer, looking to identify persons of interest in this investigation. So we wanted to first and foremost get the owner of the vehicle. So we put up the information. If you have any information, we'd like to be able to process, your vehicle, and then put up the couple. We think you may have witnessed or been in the area to notice something, like to speak with you and see if you've got any information. And then trying also as well to identify the 3 male individuals that you see walking around the park, around Inman Park, and on that Beltline at the time Mr. Arnold was in that area.
And the date of that press conference was March 10th?
Yes.
And with the press conference and the news release, are you solely trying to find the 3 persons of interest or additional information as well?
No, always when we do like a public announcement, we're looking to identify persons of interest, to ask them some questions. But we're also saying if you have any, camera footage or cell phone footage, or if you saw anything or you think you may have seen anything, encouraging the public to continue to provide any information or tips relating to the incident.
Did you try to locate the owner of that black BMW that we saw?
I did.
Okay, and did you try to determine who that couple that we see reacting to the gunshot was?
I did.
Okay. Were you able to find out who they were?
No, they never came forward.
Now, after the press release on March 10th, 2022, did you receive any information either on the 10th or 11th from any individuals who had knowledge of the case?
Yes. So I was working my shift that night, the evening shift, and received notification through our dispatch on our detective channel that there was Hateville PD was notifying Atlanta Homicide that they had someone in Hateville who stated that he had information relating to this case and wanted to speak to the detective involved.
And did you go out to speak with that individual?
Yes, I did.
And was that individual Mr. Shaquan Crawford?
Yes.
Now, what did you learn when you went out to speak to Mr. Crawford that day?
So we met Mr. Crawford where he had flagged down the Hateville officer. So it was at the racetrack in Hateville. I don't know if if everybody's familiar with that area, but it comes right off the interstate. It's on Virginia Avenue. And, nice public meeting place. And when I spoke to him, he stated that he had been contacted by the individuals that were in that footage. He stated that he received a screenshot of the photo from the news release. Can you identify these individuals as persons of interest? And stated that one of the individuals was saying, "This is me. I'm on the news. I need to get out of town. Can you help me?"
And that individual, was he able to identify him?
Yes.
Who was that individual?
Malik Williams.
Was it Brandon Williams? Or
I'm sorry, Brandon Williams. I'm sorry.
Sorry. I'll rephrase. Who was that individual?
Brandon Williams.
Okay, so I don't have a leading question. I apologize. he sent to Mr. Crawford. Did Mr. Crawford provide that information or screenshots or any information tied to that?
Yeah, he actually pulled it up on his cell phone and showed it to us, and said, "This is what he sent me." You could see the screenshot on his phone, where he's contacting me and asking for money.
I'm going to display what's been previously tendered into evidence as State's Exhibit 97A and B. Looking at State's Exhibit 97A and then State's Exhibit 97B. Do you recognize these documents
Yes, this is screenshots from his phone.
from the phone of Mr. Crawford?
Yes.
Okay, and the conversation we see is related to a contact named as Kid. Was he able to identify who Kid was?
Yes, he identified him as Brandon Williams.
Okay. And were you able to find any information on the name or nickname Kid being linked to Brandon Williams?
Not initially, no.
Okay. Subsequently?
Yes, later on.
Okay. And how were you able to find him, or where was that information? What was it that you found that linked the nickname Kid, or if you're familiar with Kid DeHardy, to Brandon Williams?
Social media, and afterwards in cell phone data.
Now, particularly with what happened to Mr. Arnold on the night of February 25th, 2022, did Mr. Crawford give you any information that Brandon Williams provided to him about that incident?
I'm sorry, what was the date on that?
So when you spoke to Mr. Crawford on this March date, at that time, did he say how Mr. Williams, if he was, Brandon Williams, was involved at all in the homicide of Mr. Arnold?
So he stated that Brandon Williams told him that he was involved in the murder of Mr. Arnold, that him and Meat and
So the witness has already
He testified. Overruled. Please answer the question.
okay. So he stated to me that he was told by Brandon Williams that Brandon Williams stated that he was involved in the murder, that him and Demetrius Ross, Meat, and Tabu were in the area, and they were looking to steal cars because he knew of a chop shop where they could flip them real quick and make some money. And so they were actively trying to steal cars in the area.
Let's break here for a few minutes since we've been going over an hour.